It's really very touching for me. It's a personal situation because I have two lovely young daughters. One is 3, one is 2. I feel for the parents of this. I want to see my daughters get married. I want to see. So it's a personal pain too. But graduating into that, there's a mantra every Nigerian has to have at the fore. Security should no longer be viewed as exclusively government business. He talked about community policing. The mantra is see something, say something. You're not going to, and equally, just like he talked about fundamental situations, I living out of the country gives you an opportunity to have a view of how they run their society. Me personally, I don't like a situation whereby you're going to be living in Lagos or living in Abuja or living in Enugu and have your car have a Lagos license plate. That's community policing 101. When you enter a new city, people around should know that this is a stranger. A new car just drove into town. There's no reason why Federal Road Safety should allow 3 months into that city, you should change that license plate, localize it. There's no reason why you're going to be in a Nnewi and be driving a car with Abuja license plate. You change it after 3 months. So, these are another thing. I mean, sometime, I think 15 years ago, there was this guy from Houston, because it's my community too, Prince of Change. They came with Net Visa's phone security. And the phone companies fought it to a standstill because this is not a dictatorial, because security will go through fundamental situations. And because I'm an engineer, but I have a security background in the US. If they had allowed it to progress up till now, and these people talk on the phone, I think what the government is doing is lawful intercept, but what we should be going in is what you call a chatterbox system, something that should be able to analyze 1 million calls per second, and you're looking for certain use of certain word, because this will communicate. And once it's getting closer to the time of the activity, some communication will increase. But these things are things that have to go through the National Assembly. Then you have to deal with the lobby group, the pressure. You have to deal with the phone companies, because once you put it in place, you expose how many subscribers they have. And the companies don't want you to know. When they pay taxes, they declare what they want to Federal Inland Revenue. And you don't, because you're not dealing, those are the mindset we have to understand. You're not dealing with a draconian system. You're dealing with people, they are lobby groups, they are pressure group, you're coming with a bill in the National Assembly, they are lobbying to kill that bill. So you have to understand, then the Chibok girls, because equally, unfortunately, we are in a society that equally looks up to our elites, the elites in the society. When certain people you look up to instead of criticizing a situation, try to use it for political gain. And we have a terrible situation in insurgency. And if people start making sentences, or even like the Elders Forum hiring 10,000 lawyers to defend the Boko Haram people that were arrested, and people saying, if you're fighting Boko Haram, you're fighting the subterfuge to fight the North. Okay, what you do is you are giving moral cover to the insurgents, which makes it less difficult for them to recruit, less difficult for them to get funding, and less difficult for them, to be in the society on and out, because they are people's relation. But if my daddy is not criticizing a situation, and he doesn't even need to tell me, but if he's criticizing any war against a situation in my community, what I'm going to look at it like, maybe this thing is not as bad as people are making it out to be. If the elders that should be speaking up against the activity is speaking up against weakening the arm that they should be helping, it gives the people, the miscreants, the insurgents, cover. So it's easy for them to reach out and recruit.
You know what Mr. Oni said?
Yeah.
He's saying that the bulk stops on the president's table.
But this is democracy. No, hold on. Because I said I'm an engineer. When we take decisions for a project, you have to present the basis. you take it down to, there has to be a justification for it. But that you have a justification doesn't mean that you're the gatekeeper that is going to fly. They make a policy, but you have to go through and make it a law for it to fly. If the guys there don't put a stamp of approval, it's not going to fly. But so the community policing situation, it's not like people have lost confidence in the police, but people are realizing that it's not just exclusively their business. It's my own security too. I equally take, decisions, rearrange certain things to be sure that more secure. Then another area that he talked about was the oil sector. Said 15 years of, it's equally good to take it. Why didn't we make those arrangements? And the way he presented it looked like, is an endemic corruption in our governance. But you don't fight corruption.
You don't think so?
I'm coming. Corruption, yeah. But you don't. How do you deal with corruption? You don't fight corruption with a decree. You fight corruption with institutional changes. When you build, like in technology, you build a system, and this is the millennium, and you build a system based on a database and biometrics. And if you're not part of that system that has been built, you can't have access to the resources in that system. You build a system like in, let's say in the agriculture sector, the Abakaliki rice, the e-wallet. Once it became an fertilizer, 90 days, it took only 90 days to fight over 40 years of corruption in the distribution of fertilizer in the country. So when you look at the situation, once people are ringed, identified, and their biometric captured and put in the system, if you're not part of that system, you can have access to that resources. Then, of course, earlier we talked about strengthening the...
You just said something about using 90 days to address the corruption of 40 years in the fertilizer.
No, to build a system, and keep away. Because once you build and put them in a system, the other people, the cabal, we're used to that word, the cabal that used to have access to prefer resources from that no longer have access to it because they are not in the...
So you are saying we should give the government more time?
It's not even about giving time or not giving time. We're talking about building great institutions and being able to look at where is this thing going. I understand because of the frustration. I mean, I advocate for certain things, because of the frustration. It's not a frustration that started yesterday. 10 years ago.
But it has to be taken
20 years ago. So, but when you have a voice to speak, you want, there are things I want to be done now. But equally, because this is we're talking about insurgency. Nobody's going to praise it, but you have to realize, even in developed economies, the US, the UK from the 70s till late 80s, the IRA was a major problem. America, the Taliban, do you know how much, even America with all its sophistication, I always give that example. They came down to assist surveillance aircraft flying over the area for 3 weeks, almost a month, boots on the ground, moving around. It's not like saying America couldn't do nothing, but America couldn't do nothing.
But you see, he said something. He said, the fundamental flaws.
Right.
You need to tackle the fundamental flaws before you can say you're moving up.
Yeah,
so he's concerned.
I understand what...
Is it a one-day thing?
It's not a one-day thing. How long do you think
it's a process.
Are we actually moving in the right direction?
Are we moving in the right direction?
Yes, we are. I believe we are. Because if you don't see the changes for what it is, if you don't say, oh, we did this, we raised Abakaliki rice that used to be there and nobody looked at it at an international level. Now the $900 million that goes in yearly into whoever are giving contract to import this thing We have this thing plowed back into the economy to address certain other situations.
Okay, let's look at your field, the oil sector that he talked about. I mean, the Nigerian economy used to be wholly based or mostly based on the revenues from the oil sector, but now we're losing that.
It's important to look at, you know.
It's good to lose it. It's good to lose it.
No. What he's saying, what he's saying,
what he's saying is,
why didn't we make arrangements when we knew that?
Yes, when we saw the signs.
Done, because oil prices are going to fluctuate.